Okay, so before we actually go ahead and solve this matrix, the one thing that I want to just kind of recap to make sure that we're all on the same page is what this new matrix in purple here actually represents. So let's go ahead and take what we have in our matrix and let's write it out back into an equation form. So I have 1, -2, 3, and 9. So what that essentially means is I have 1x minus 2y plus 3z equals 9. That's essentially what that first line of my matrix means. And the second line of my matrix is 0x plus 1y plus 3z equals 5. So that's the second line of my matrix. Then the third line of my matrix represents 0x plus 0y plus 2z equal to 4. So you'll notice this set of equations right here is actually mathematically equivalent to everything that you have over here. It's just been rewritten. Really, that's all we've done is just rewritten the whole thing. Okay, so now the question is, are we ready to solve? And the answer is no. And some of you might already kind of be figuring it out in your head. Anytime that you solved a system of linear equations when you were in algebra, did you ever leave your answers as 2z equals 4? No, you didn't. Because do you want to plug in 2z? No, you want to plug in just the value of z. So for example, if I know I have 2z here, I can't just plug in 4 to that z, right? Because this is 3 times z, not 3 times 2z. So I basically need to change this bottom part here and fix it so that it's just z, which is pretty easy. All I do is divide by 2, divide by 2. So what I really have, and I'm going to make that change to my matrix, what I really have then is z is equal to, so 2z over z is just z, so that's 1. Oops. 1. And then 4 over 2 is just 2. So now I have a completed matrix. So again, the whole purpose of this is that I don't want to leave my equation here. This guy, it was 2 and then 4. I don't want to leave it as 2z equals 4. I want to know the actual value of just 1z. Okay? Because again, if I try to plug in the value of 2z into something that's 3z, it's going to get complicated, and that's really not what I'm looking for. So I just want to plug in the value of 1z, which in this case is just 2. Okay, so now that I've kind of solved I've finished my matrix, now I can actually go in and I can do some algebra to solve the system of linear equations. So I'm essentially going to take my value for z that I figured out. So I figured out that z equals 2. Use light blue. Z equals 2. And like I said before, I want to take that value and I want to plug it in here. So I have 1y plus 3z, and z had a value of 2. All of that equals 5, right? So now I can solve for y. So y equals -1. Okay. Now that I know the value of z and I know the value of y, since I just figured it out, now I can once again plug both of those values into my third and final equation, the one with 3 variables, and I can figure out the value for x. So now my first equation is 1x, so x, and then minus 2 times y, and y had a value of -1, plus 3 times the value of z, and z obviously had a value of 2, And all of that, according to my first equation, is equal to 9. So now you can see how I'm using what I got down here for z, right? This is how I solve for z. And then I'm using what I got here for y, and I'm solving for x. So if you just kind of plug and chug here, you get that x is equal to 1. So now I've successfully used this matrix to solve for z, and then solve for y, and then solve for x.